Good morning, everybody, and happy 30th of December. It is 8:30 a.m., and as always, we are around these microphones talking all things accounting news. Thank you for joining us in this between Christmas and New Year. I'm not going to lie, I've been struggling with what day it is for the last few days. Is it Saturday? Is it Sunday? Is it Friday? The usual confusion that this gap of time causes. But yeah, as always, I am joined today by my co-host, Mr. Aaron Patrick. Aaron, how are you and how was your Christmas?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Very good. Hopefully everyone had a good Christmas as well. I must say the highlight of Christmas had to have been watching Wallace and Gromit, and then we watched a bit of Gavin and Stacey. What a finale, eh? What? And hats off to marketing team over at Intuit because 12.
They got lucky. That's all that happened there. They got lucky.
Was it 12.5 million people?
12.3 or something, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. 12.3 million people got to see Bryn wearing a very smart shirt with a very smart logo on his side. I loved how he was sat as well with the logo pointing towards as well. So don't remember seeing any Zero or Sage logos in that episode. So, KFC got mentioned, McDonald's didn't, brand rivalry all the way through. So, yeah, very good, very good, very good indeed. Yeah, brilliant. And I think that was the perfect ending as well. Very, very happy.
Watching Wallace and Gromit, I mean, I was transported back to when I was 10, sitting there watching it at Christmas, watching the Wrong Trousers and stuff like that. Oh, loved Wallace and Gromit. So good to see it back. Yeah, like the BBC, guys, if you want to know how to dominate your competitors, fair play to the BBC because no one came close to them. I think Coronation Street got like 2.3 million viewers for the woman leaving that had been there for 50 years. Whereas like Gavin and Stacey, 12.3. I mean, the King's Speech got more, like 7 million views or something on the day.
No way.
That's 3 times what Coronation Street gets, and that's got quite a cult following.
Wallace and Gromit did well as well, didn't it? That got good.
It's like just short of 10 million.
Yeah.
Like the BBC lineup this Christmas absolutely smashed the other channels to pieces for views. They absolutely nailed it. So yeah,
at least it shows that our our TV license going somewhere, right?
Well, I did hear an average 1,369 TV licenses got cancelled every day last year.
Oh, really?
In the last year. So it's like, I don't know how long that's going to carry on for, but I mean,
12.3 million is still using it.
Wow. I think there might be some letters going out. But yes. But as always, we wouldn't be here. Well, we would, but we wouldn't enjoy it as much if it wasn't for the community around us. So let's jump into the comments and say good morning to everybody. Good morning to Cheryl from Amsterdam. Very nice.
Oh, I'm very jealous of that one. I love Amsterdam. Although, and tell us if this is still true, Cheryl. I've been told that Amsterdam has reversed its requirement or its need or its want to have tourists now, especially from the UK. And apparently it's making it very difficult for us Brits to go over to Amsterdam, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, surely what else has Netherlands got? Like, that's got to be its biggest way of earning money, right? It's tourism. But no, I've been told that they're trying to make it very difficult for us. So yeah, it'll be interesting to know.
But let's face it, Brits on blooming holiday in Amsterdam probably costs them more in insurance premiums than it does in
anywhere in the world, right? Like, yeah, we don't have the best what you call it for ourselves.
Yeah. Good morning to Dave. Hope you're well. Good morning to Kirsty. Dave says, hope everyone had a good Christmas.
You too.
Clive is saying, good morning. Watching live with the son's new Meta Quest 3 VR. Oh, Aaron, we're in VR.
We did it. We finally did it.
Does it look like I'm poking you in the eye?
All made for. This is the end game. Speaking of Wallace and Gromit, Clive, get yourself Walkabout Mini Golf. It's called. That's the one me and Jan played way back when we did a little video. failed
Plate's a
attempt.
strong word.
Yeah. But you could do Wallace and Gromit. So you actually go to 115 Willoughby Street. Is it 115? Whatever the number is. And you actually get to play through their house mini golf. Literally, all the gadgets are there. I won't spoil it, but at the end is a very good ending to it as well. But yeah, if that is the one thing to do in VR is to get yourself down to Wallace and Gromit and play a bit of mini golf.
There we go. Good morning to Amy. Good morning to Sam as well. Hope you're enjoying Christmas break so far.
You too.
Christmas break, yeah. My brain's in overdrive over the Christmas break, I'm afraid. So watch this space for a lot of client engager content. I mean, Christ, I have been a busy boy. Good morning to Amanda.
Oh, hello, Amanda. Welcome.
Kirsty says, agree, Gavin and Stacey was fantastic. I also enjoyed Tiddler, evoked such wonderful memories of reading to my child. There we go. Tim says, good morning.
Do we know what Tiddler is? Am I missing something? Is this a must
I think
watch?
it was a TV one of the kids' TV programs on Christmas Day.
Okay.
Which was based on one of the kids' books back in the day.
Okay.
Tim says, good morning.
Can you say his full name, please?
So, Tim Chilston, CICB. It's like saying Lewis Hamilton without going sir, isn't it?
Exactly.
Rachel says, good morning. Clive says, ouch, my eye, Johann. I love a bit of mini golf. Thanks for the tip, Aaron.
Get it. Brilliant. And I'll play you on it as well. Yeah.
Tim says, what's a Christmas break? I signed up for a shiny new toy.
Ooh.
Tim, what have you signed up for? Let us know.
Well, we need to know. We need to know.
I've been my firm's now MTD ready. MTD it's a ready. We're done. Sorted it, nailed it. I've got
completed it, mate.
I've got emails, templates done, I've got my categorizations, I've got my plan. Like I've done it, nailed it, easy. So, and I've written a 4,000 or 5,000 word guide on it for the Engager users to follow what I've done.
Nice.
So
nice. That's
I've put a webinar out there for it, which has got 130 people signed up already.
We had a meeting beforehand about it all, and the only thing we can't figure out is pricing. Everything else, happy as Larry, but it's the pricing that your clients
the one thing I've not quantified it yet. But
and none of us know, right? No one knows. It's going to be we're all going to figure this out together. And interesting.
So no one knows the pricing yet. I get everyone's worried and nervous about that. But I was sat bored, as I was, between Christmas and New Year. And I was starting to plan it all out. I just thought, sod this planning malarkey. I'll get on with it. Implemented it all. Changed all my services around for what I'm going to need in a year's time.
Yeah.
But what I will be doing is part of the webinar is I'm going to be doing some polls to try and get some initial anonymous feedback of what people are planning on, just so we can have a discussion about it. Because I think that's what we need to do, is have an open discussion, not necessarily about the pounds and pence, because we've got the anti-competitive laws we need to follow, but we need to have a discussion as an industry around what's everyone doing.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell us what you're charging, but which aspects are you charging for, etc. But also, we're still a bit blind to this, right? QuickBooks, Sage, and Xero have been banging on, and Free Agent been banging on about this for a very long time. But we've not actually seen the final process yet. We've seen ideas. We've seen like artists' impressions, if you will, of what's coming. So until we see that final process, we can't really understand the time implications, which means, and we can't understand the resource implications, so we can't really price easily on it. However, we need to start that conversation soon. And yes, we need Sage, QuickBooks, Xero, Free Agent, etc., telling us about how their solution is going to allow us to file these tax returns. But I think the bigger conversation needs to be led by the practice management solutions out there who aren't talking about this at the moment, which is why we're stepping in to talk about it. Because filing it's one thing, but actually in the grand scheme of MTD ITSA, or MTD IT as it's now called, The filing bit is actually the last bit. That's the easy bit in theory.
Yeah.
That's the pressing a button. The planning for this, the communicating it to our clients, the behavioral change for our clients to go from annual to quarterly submissions, the changing of our routines, our processes in our team and our workflows. That's where the major work is. And that's why I think practice management softwares need to be stepping in now and talking about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I filed MTD many times now because I've been on the beta since a while back. So you're right, like the filing of it, no problem. It's going to follow very, very similar process to what your VAT is going to be, right?
Exactly.
But I still wish that HMRC would listen to us as accountants and give us a better experience in helping our clients, because all we need is an API link to our practice management solution to say, here's a list of all our clients that we've got 64/8s for, or agent authority, whatever you want to call it going forward. And here's a list of clients who have filed, and here's a list of clients who haven't. And like, give us that data. Like, companies have, like,
technically some of that's going to be, that is planned on their APIs. If you look at their API plans and stuff.
But how long does it take to implement, right? Like,
but also from HMRC's point of view, why are we bothering with APIs when VAT, MTD VAT agent authorization has been available as an API for 5 years and not one software is built into it?
Because it doesn't work, or they're not authorized, or like, yeah.
But it does work because we're building into it at Engager. Like,
but you've been wanting to build into it for a year, right? Like,
we just haven't had the time to do it and get through certification. But like, it's the HMRC need software input as well, and they're getting that from QuickBooks Zero, Free Agent, Sage. Fantastic. They're getting governance input from all the governing bodies, but practice management softwares aren't around that table.
No. And that's going to make or break how we deliver that service to clients. Exactly. Right? Because again, like one of the biggest features that everyone raves about Client Engager is that whole idea that, well, you can't complete a task until Companies House says it's done, right? Like, you can't set that, say, accounts have been filed until Companies House have given you that update to put it through.
Yeah.
Why are we not requesting HMRC to give us that functionality elsewhere? Like, why, like you said, why is that not a conversation around that table? Because if we had that data, that would be make or break for how we would be able to assist our clients. At the moment, we don't know the pricing and stuff because we don't know how much work is going to be involved. Yeah, the clicking of the filing and submitting the MTD is going to be, just a normal process going through.
That's the easy part.
Yeah, but it's how many we need to do, how many still to be done by a certain period, and all of that. It's that capacity planning, right? That's the problem we've got. And great. There's great practice management software out there that can help you assist that, but that's all going to be based on your putting that data in. Yeah. What we need is a source of truth to say this is what work you need still to do, right?
Yeah, and there is still some of that's available. So like, it's already available that in theory a practice management tool could link into MTD VAT and sense check when a job's been completed against VAT. Like, technically we can do that. There's just been no demand for it as such.
And isn't there conflicts between if you have multiple software going into the same one? There's all that sort of stuff that's never been.
No, not for that one, funnily enough.
Okay.
So this is why you can. So Inform Direct almost did this, and they did do it to a certain degree. Like in Inform Direct, I can see if I linked it all up, I could see my companies, all my clients, limited company clients' VAT statuses and whether they're overdue, filed, etc. But that's only for a subset of my client base, because I don't just deal with limited companies. I deal with sole traders and stuff. So they kind of went, great idea, and we didn't really deliver it very well. But yeah, so like in theory, that's all there. Like, if they're doing it, anyone can do it. We just need to get into that position where we can do it. So, right.
But that needs HMRC to open up the right channels.
HMRC having a conversation with more than just FMS solutions would be really helpful.
Exactly right. A few more comments just flow through.
So Tim has started using Super Chat, all communication channels in one place.
Ooh, is that including WhatsApp there, Tim? Let us know.
Yeah, interesting. Rachel says, great. I haven't seen anything on the guide or webinar yet. So the guide is still being written and proofread. The webinar, I only shouted about it maybe 48 hours ago for the first time on the Engager group chat. So it's in there. But yeah, there'll be once Ash gets back to work from his holidays and we've put proper images and branding and stuff on it, it'll go public more. But at the moment, it's just me going, oh, I'm going to do a webinar.
When are you going to ban holidays at Client Engager? I mean, that's got to be on the agenda, right?
I know, right? Bloody people having holidays holding us back. Rachel says that's great. Sales of the Unexpected says good morning. Good morning. Good morning to Sue. Stephanie says, sorry I'm late. Morning, gents. Is it too late to say Merry Christmas and to say, or too early to say Happy New Year? Oh, that's the next thing, isn't it? How far into January until I don't have to say Happy New Year to people that I've not seen in a while?
Well, it's not actually happened yet, so
yeah. Good morning to Juliet as well. And Tim says, yes, Super Chat includes WhatsApp and the onboarding was super slick.
Interesting. You piqued my interest there, Tim. You piqued my interest.
Okay. Go do a bit of investigation work this afternoon. That'll be good. Right. So what's going on in the news? Well, normally between Christmas and New Year, it's a bit quiet. And we had all sorts of things like, do we do our favorite news article for the year and all of this stuff? We do have some things we want to talk about with our community. We want to talk about direction of Ask the Accountant going forwards. That's it. That's all I'm telling you for now. Sit there nervous for the next 45 minutes going, oh my God, what's happening now?
We didn't say we were doing an episode in 2025 yet.
No commitment. 2024, a reflection. We want to look back at the year. But first of all, we've got two news articles we want to cover and just make people aware of. The first one is quite a short topic. It is what it is. Whether we agree with it or not, it's a different matter. But for our community to be aware, you can't just simply click into Accounting Web and read an article anymore. You now have to be logged into Accounting Web to read their articles. So this came in a couple of weeks before Christmas. We wanted to talk about it last week and just ran out of time, basically. Far too much rabbiting on about AI. But yeah, so Accounting Web, fantastic resource, some fantastic reporting in there. Tom, Jake, and the team there do an amazing job. Always great to see them all, and Richard and co, all at the events and have a chat with them and catch up with their insights, because what they don't know about this industry isn't worth knowing. And they know about most things before anyone else, even weeks before it hits their radar. It's incredible how well embedded into the industry these guys are. But yeah, so Accounting Web now, you need to be able, if you click on an article, go to their homepage and click on an article you want to read, you now need to be logged in to read that article. What are your thoughts on that, Aaron?
At first, I had a really positive thought, thinking, you know what, this could be the way to stop all of the, let's put it politely, all of the trolls that comment on it. Because we've, I'm sure everyone in the industry knows of how toxic that environment can be from time to time. And it's definitely.
I don't know about you, but I've turned down several opportunities now to put input into articles or write articles for them, because I'm not prepared to put content onto a platform where someone anonymous can just rip into me for no reason. Like, we've got enough of that on social media. We don't need to do it in our profession. So I had the same thought as you when I first went, oh, you've got to log in now. I thought, oh, maybe this is going to solve the trolling issue. We're going to have our names there and stuff like that. But yeah, no, you don't. It's still the same process, still usernames, still anonymous if you want to be anonymous. So you went in thinking positively.
Yeah, 100%. Then we found out that no, that's not the case, right? Like, they're still going to have your keyboard warriors. You're still going to have your trolls. So that area's not been solved. And yeah, it just creates a friction, a barrier, doesn't it? Like that, and that's all it's causing now. And we can't. We were talking off air. We can't quite figure out the benefits of this, other than maybe it's for their advertising. For the banners and everything else. Maybe they get more in-depth knowledge that they could, hopefully get more per clicks views from. So maybe they'll be able to kind of use that as a bargaining tool to generate more revenue or something. I'm really clutching at straws as to what the major benefit of this is. And hey, look, if it's increased revenue, fair play. Like that's what they're in the game to do, right? Like they're a business. But this whole let's put this barrier up, it's just going to be painful, isn't it? Because we've already seen reports that, yeah, if you just log in on your browser, fine, you probably have to log in once, probably be okay. But you see a LinkedIn post now, you click on that LinkedIn post on your mobile phone, you're not going to be able to read that because it's going to take you to the browser inbuilt into LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram or whatever it's going to be, right? Where you won't be logged in. And we've also learned, haven't we, that if you go to the homepage without logging in, then you can only see really old content or something, isn't it? So it does, like, they've just created this barrier that we're not 100% sure who's it benefiting, because it doesn't seem to be benefiting us, the reader, right? That's fair to say.
Yeah, and like, I mean, look at Facebook. Like, look at all the local news channels and stuff. Like, even like the Daily Telegraph and stuff like that. Like, you see a clickbaity article, and you go, "Oh, interesting that," and then you realise you've got to log in, and you've got to pay £1 a month or something. And Accounting Web aren't charging, and that's fine yet. But is this the route down to charging for reading their articles? Maybe if they're not making the money in advertisement that they used to, then maybe that is it. I mean, when you've got people like Iris, Bright, and everyone buying up all of the softwares, are you losing advertising accounts? And then you've got people like Engager, Zama, Xenon, and stuff who perhaps don't have the deep enough pockets to pay for the advertising and stuff on Accounting Web. Like, are Accounting Web struggling for advertising income? I would imagine it's getting a more competitive in this space, and they're struggling to justify that investment into an older style of advertising versus social media content and stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Choices are being made. So I get that things might be getting tougher for them. But I think they had a huge opportunity, like we've already said, to spin this in a really positive light of, like, no, if you want to read our articles, you need to log in, but you need to put your real name in, and actually we want you to verify.
Yeah.
Because we're
is your
fed up with
LinkedIn account you got Connect or whatever, however the verification's going to be.
Yeah, like LinkedIn, Facebook, something like that. Like, great. But they've not done that. They've just gone and put their great articles behind an inconvenience of a login wall. And like, I don't read any articles from any of these press companies. Like, there's Edinburgh Live and Edinburgh Evening News and stuff. I don't read any of their articles because I'm not going to log in and pay £1 a month or something for it when most of it's clickbaiting crap and poorly written, and I don't know. And it seems to have just been done. Like, no one's really speaking about it from Accounting Web. Someone posted in the Any Answers page saying, I seem to have to log in for everything. And Tom did say, look, a couple of weeks before Christmas, we did make it so you have to log in. But yeah, there's not been any kind of explanation from Accounting Web as to why this is happening. And I think it's a real shame because their content's so good. And that's why we like sharing their content on this event, on this show, and directing people to see their content. That's why we like sharing it on social media channels, because we want people to read it, because we know it's well researched, we know it's well written. But to then share it, and then people go, oh, you can't click into it because you've got to log in and stuff. it casts doubt on people that are trying to read it as to whether they bother trying to read anything else we share from other sources. So yeah, it's a shame, and a bit more of a public approach and openness about and transparency about it all would be interesting.
Yeah, because like kind of alluded to before, if you go on there not knowing any of this and you're just not logged in, apparently it's not showing you up-to-date content. So all that does as a
I've not seen
user,
that.
yeah, that's part of that thread we were reading beforehand, right? With again anonymous posting, so we don't know if these are people putting legitimate or they're just trolling, right? We have no idea. It doesn't seem in this case, but it does make you think that if that is the case and it's kind of that older content, well, that's not going to encourage anyone to sign up anyway. Stephanie says, will it show you as a user that you've read? Could it be helpful when regarding CPD? Well, to me, that's a paid for option, right? Like, or could be, right? That if they want to put in a subscription in there or anything else, if it's going to help me do my CPD, that gives me
just export, because websites can easily tell you now the average read length in minutes.
Yeah.
So if I could go in, by logging in, it meant I could export this report that says you've read X amount of articles adding up to this amount of minutes in whatever time period you put in. Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, ICAW now even have a feature where if you read an article on their site, it just automatically populates to your CPD area for you. So, if they could bring in something cool like that, then hell, yeah, that's going to be a great opportunity for a subscription, premium model to make it worthwhile. Not everyone's going to pay for it, but not everyone needs to, right? But the people who do pay for it will see value in it. And that's how you kind of build those subscription models, isn't it? Because what you don't want to do for a site like Accounting Web, in my opinion, is to just, stop it so you can get to certain content, right? Put a barrier up and put it behind a paywall. I think that will be really harmful for someone like them.
Well, I think the reason they're so well known is the accessibility of their articles in the past.
It's sharing it on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever site you're using, right? That's where, because it involves starts conversation topics, all right? Like HMRC has just announced this, or so and so is having a problem with this, or whatever it's going to be, and you start sharing that we can't really share the links anymore, because if we do share the links, you've got to have that confidence that the person that you're sharing it to is already logged in, otherwise they're not going to be able to read it. And it just causes a barrier, doesn't it? Which I think it's going to be really tricky to make work, in my opinion.
No, it's I mean, we know members of the Accounting Web team occasionally watch this and listen to this podcast, so guys, we'd love to know, what's it part of the strategy wise? What's the long-term plan? We're not saying any of this as a negative. We're just letting people know that you've got to log in now, and without transparency, it's a bit concerning as to why we've got to do that and stuff like that. And we love the content they create. We love the team behind it. So it'd just be nice to know more.
Definitely.
Basically. Cool. For anyone that's not been on LinkedIn in the last week, other news is, so there's an accounting firm backed by a lot of equity over in America called Bench, who have their own proprietary software. So we're thinking the likes of, in the UK, to draw some comparisons here, you've got companies like Memisma and Crunch who have built their firms based around their own proprietary software, where they've created their own FMS solution to a degree, and they've gone out and got some equity backing to help push this further. Bench is very much like that. We've seen similar with the big four, like KPMG and stuff. Have done it in the past, where they've tried to push towards small businesses by having their own software, their own often sell it cheap, stack them high kind of solution. So there's a big firm over in America called Bench who have done very much the same, much bigger numbers. Like from what I've been reading, like £100 million worth of equity investment, 12,000 clients, 660 staff members. Like the numbers are going up and down a bit. They're a bit backwards and forwards, but they announced between Christmas and New Year that they've collapsed. Basically, they've shut down. There is no more bench. The website's down, everything's down. Everyone's just being told they'll be contacted with how to access their data. And that has created quite the LinkedIn storm. Quite a lot of people in the UK have been chipping in on this as well, which is quite interesting. And people are saying, well, back up your data, like just because it's with one software, is that right? Do you need backups of it? And like what happens if QuickBooks goes bust? I mean, let's be honest. I don't see that happening. So Xero, QuickBooks, Sage, Free Agent, they're all going to be here for a very long time. But when you're dealing with smaller softwares, then yeah, there is a risk. I mean, Aaron, thoughts on Bench?
I mean, it's not a smaller software, is it? 100 million worth of equity. No. Doesn't sound like it. I think the bit that really upsets me when I kind of look through this story is two parts to it. First of all, is from a Bofix point of view, when we first thought about Bofix and we sat there and we brainstormed it all and everything else, we considered it like, do we go down our own proprietary route? Do we start building our own software to tackle the industry and go head first? Quickly realized that that's not the right for us. That wouldn't work for us. But the considerations there, and I've always kind of admired that the Mazuma route, the Crunch route, like they definitely have that secret sauce in terms of being able to build that end-to-end solution for their clients. They're controlling that, right? Most people listen to here, we've got to work with the onboarding solutions of whatever solution we're using, right? So I do kind of see it from there, and from a Bench point of view, from what I've read, like the main founder and everything else had his own like ideas and wanted to build it in a certain way and everything else, but hit that brick wall of, well, I can't compete at the moment. I can't build what I need to build without investment. And then went to get investment, and then it's all come down to a fact of, well, that investment wanted much more return than they were getting, which is why they've pulled the plug. And what they're trying to build, or what the investment side is trying to figure out is this a service industry company, Bench, or is it a software industry company? Because software was it like 5, 6, 10 times, 100 times X, isn't it? That they want to get. Like, but as a service-based industry, you can't do that, right? Like, there's people to pay, there's salaries to pay, there's everything that comes with it. I just think it's so short-sighted from that investment side of it to go, right, let's plow all this money in and then just literally pull the rug under them. I just, that doesn't fit well, right?
Yeah, I mean, is it short-sighted, or have they been missold? Was the information and projections misrepresented to them before they invested? I don't know. But we see it constantly where the equity comes in and it's meant to do all of this amazing stuff. But when you're doing a service-based industry, really not going to be as profitable as investors generally like to think it will be, and the build up to delivery to the big numbers is never as quick as they want it to be. Like, it's not like you're selling something on Amazon where with the right social media and stuff you could have a hit, and you could like I was reading an article the other day, and someone had just absolutely nailed their Facebook, Instagram ads between Boxing Day and now. Like, over the Christmas period, they shifted 300,000 units of their product. And they were like, we can't keep up with this demand. We've had to turn everything off. We're already 3 times over committed to what we were planning on. But they just hit gold. And the chances of them doing it again, I don't know. Like, the chances of it happening to someone else, who knows? But when you're marketing a product, you have that opportunity to go viral and to get those sales figures and the profitability and scalability that equity firms often are looking for. But when it's service based, and you're not talking about what I'd class as a cheap relationship. You're talking about a very trust-filled relationship that takes time to build with people when it comes to accounts and tax returns, that you can't productize it, and you can't deliver those volumes that equity investment is often looking for.
Yeah.
So yeah, what an awful time for 660 staff to find out that they've not got a job anymore. 12,000
It literally is overnight, right? It was
completely out of the blue.
Yeah.
And it was just literally a bulletin basically on the website page. Like 12,000 small businesses in the US no longer have access to their records yet. They're waiting for access to come back. And I'm not completely opaque with the tax filing system in the US, but aren't we in the tax filing period at the moment?
I assume so. Yeah.
I mean, I always feel like they're always in
ends
tax filing.
at December, doesn't it? Like that's the end of their tax year, isn't it?
Right. So they're coming into the filing period with no access to their data for the last year.
That they've already paid for, they've already committed to.
Yeah.
And being proprietary software, it's not just that they can just continue to use it. Like they're literally going to I think they've already turned off the access, right? And then they're giving them they've given them like a small period where they can go in and get the raw data, right? And they're bringing it through from there.
Yeah.
Which again doesn't sit right. Like they've built this bookkeeping solution for their clients. Like the least they can do is think about contingencies and all that sort of stuff, right? That's part and parcel of owning a practicing certificate, right? And having a practicing certificate is what happens if you do get hit by a bus tomorrow. Like we've got to have those in place. I just feel like this one feels at that level. Surely there's a better solution than just pull the rug and switch off the service. It just
hosting data is not that expensive, depending on how you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's expensive, but it's not the most expensive part. Like in theory, if I was bench, if I had to cut everything off and get rid of all the staff, yes. But you should still be able to maintain access to that data. Like I know at Engager, we've got backups of backups of backups and stuff. So access will always be available within our terms and conditions. Like as a software provider, you have to think of that. You have to allow that access at all times to that client's data, those customers' data. Like, yeah. I suppose is it the biggest shock that they've had the funding pulled, and it just shows that actually maybe yet again we're seeing this model of equity investment in a service-based business doesn't really work. It doesn't get the returns that most equity investors are looking for in the time periods they're looking for. Or is the biggest shock the handling of it and the lack of communication and stuff? It's a combination of both, I suppose.
I think it's more the handling of it, isn't it, than anything else, because there's just a fundamental like obligation there, isn't there, that you've been taking money off your clients for this whole time. Yeah, it's not worked, but it's your responsibility to at least deliver on that. Fair enough. If they said, right, we're not taking on any more clients, we're going to get all of this done for this period that we've just finished. Like if, right, maybe our assumption is it's 31st of December, right?
Yeah.
Provide every client that's paid for that period a set of financial data for that period, and you walk away. Like that should be the minimum. And yes, they might have to borrow more, whatever the thing's going to be, but that should be the bare minimum that happens, right? Because at the moment, all they've done is left these clients without a Scooby. They don't even know how they're going to access the data and what the state of the data is going to be in. And from you read all the reports and social media posts and all this and the other, and there wasn't great data anyway. Like it wasn't being kept all that good. It just seems messy, doesn't it? And the bits I was looking into it more. Like there was one particular post where I saw it was 12,000 customers, which I don't think is right. I think there's much more than that, and I hope there is. But it was supported by 650 employees. Like, the numbers just didn't stack up, right? Like, maybe only half of them are bookkeepers, right? So maybe and accountants, right? So maybe there's 300 odd, but that's still 40 odd clients per person. If it's stack it high like it's supposed to be and do it cheap, how was the numbers ever going to work from there? That's what I don't understand.
No, not at all. And like, yeah, let's say it is 300 and that, and the rest is sales, marketing, development team. Then, yeah, I don't know when accounting firms are going to learn. Like, having a sales team that just sells accounting services doesn't work. When someone gets in touch with us, they want to talk to the expert.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to someone at the phone or on a Teams call. Oh, I don't know accounting. I'm just selling you the product. I'm selling you the service. They actually want to talk, because they normally have questions at that point. And it's a good chance for us to demonstrate our expertise to make the sale even easier.
100%. But I do feel like this is a different type of client that they're aiming towards, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they're not. I don't think they would offer that. I mean, again, there's assumptions being made here, and we're kind of based on social media posts we've read and all this and the other. So take it with a pinch of salt. But from what we can tell, this was a solution that was do it low, as low, like race the bottom. And if you're racing the bottom, you can't also give out advice, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Business advisory is a premium product. You can't be given that.
But if they've only got 20 to 40 clients each in their portfolio, then they've got all the time to do it.
You're right. Yeah, exactly right. But they shouldn't be, right? Not at that price point. They, and like for a model like that to work, don't you need 100 to 200 in your portfolio for it to work? That's the numbers you're kind of expecting, aren't you? And it just doesn't make sense to have, especially with proprietary software, where in theory you should have more capacity per bookkeeper and accountant, because it should be all built the way that makes it easier for you to complete the job, right? Like, again, one of our biggest hurdles we have at the moment is because we're having to adapt to the workflow of software X, Y, and Z. Like, that's always going to hold us back. And we get to go on county councils every now and again and help them steer it and all this and everything. But ultimately, we're at the forefront, we're at the mercy of what they decide to do. If they want to turn off accountant access tomorrow, they turn off accountant access tomorrow, and we go backwards, right? And they've built the software, you would have thought, to be super efficient. Like, that's what this is all about, isn't it? It's efficiency and building that there. So just doesn't make sense.
Question for you then, because this is very much like the model of QuickBooks Live over in the US.
Yeah.
Okay, where you use the QuickBooks software and the TurboTax software, and they provide the accountant or bookkeeper to do it. And we've seen how aggressive their advertising has been over there. Like, oh, tell us what you got charged last year, we'll beat it, was their quote. So does this make people like QuickBooks look at it again and go, is there a model? Does this model really work?
You'd think not, right? And especially about the rumors we've heard, or not even rumors, they've said now, haven't they? Intuit have put more funds into R&D this year than Xero made in revenue, right? So for a solution like Bench or any of these proprietary softwares to compete, that's got to be a lot of investment going through there with AI coming through. And I'm pretty sure Bench were one of the ones that were shouting about they've just bought all this money, or they've just secured all this investment. And with this investment, they're going to plow it into AI. I may be wrong, but there was definitely someone in the past 6 months. And if they hadn't done, they were definitely considering AI to be the next big step for them to kind of automate everything else. But if Intuit are having to spend that sort of money to, develop the solution and put it through there, how can anyone compete on that? Yeah. And then for Intuit, surely they would see that investment they're making there is to get it through the software. As soon as they start adding the costs involved by looks of it, what bench were spending, it becomes something that can't be like. Surely there's no way that that's a solution that can become profitable going forward in its current state, unless it is purely AI going forward. And I still don't see how that model you can get it to any scale. It just the numbers don't match up, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think it's really like, just because this has happened with Bench, we're not associating and saying it would happen with Mazuma or Crunch or anyone else like that. It's just another reality check for these proprietary softwares and the tough industry that they're in. Like, not only are they having to sell their accounting and bookkeeping services and pitch those against everyone else in the industry, they're having to develop and maintain their software to compete with those bigger boys out there that have silly money to spend on R&D. Yeah, very interesting to see it happening over the pond, and it'll be interesting to see who the next big equity investment is, where they think they can make a success of it, and see where they make a success where others couldn't, basically.
Yeah, I hope this is a warning to everyone that, like, that's not the way, because it makes it difficult for us to provide a service, right? Because it devalues what we can offer to our clients. Yeah. When there is a solution like Bench out there, where, you know, quick Google and you can get all your accounts done for X amount, whatever the number's going to be, and, you know, something we can never ever like even come close to in terms of numbers and offering us a similar price point. Hopefully this is the start of, right, okay, that race to the bottom, that there's always going to need to be a race to the bottom, but I think that has to be purely just software based, and not a human involvement, because as soon as we put human involvement in there, it muddies the water, right?
Yeah.
And maybe this is the start of, you know, our competitors isn't going to be these sort of solutions like this, like Bench. Maybe our competitors will be software, and maybe that's fine. Maybe that's okay, because the clients who want to, you know, get that extra advice and get that business advisory will know that there's an actual proper value to that, and they'll be willing to pay that. And I think at the moment it muddies the water as to, well, what's compliance and what's advisory, and there's all this kind of mess here, right? And hopefully Bench, what we can learn from it, from the Bench point of view, is that we can't merge those two. It's one or the other. Either you're going to provide purely compliance and get that tax return filed and everyone's happy, or it's compliance plus advisory and plus the add-ons that go through there. And hopefully, fingers crossed, big ask, isn't it? But hopefully that's the learnings that get from this.
Yeah, definitely. Right, last 10 minutes. So, before we talk about 2025, let's talk about 2024. Slightly quieter year for Ask the Accountant in 2024 than when we were on tour in 2023. But still an incredible year. Like, Lizzie did, I love that t-shirt. Lizzie did all the figures and everything's up and looking fantastic, and listeners and viewers and hours of viewing and listening. It's all, So huge thank you to all of our community for everything that they do, when they tell people about us, when they sit there listening, when they tune in on a Monday morning on the 30th of December, because they've got nothing better to do to justify the next hour before they can put Baileys into their coffee. But what's your one highlight of the year, Aaron?
So this is the year where last year we dabbled in live, going to events, shall I say.
Dabbled. We did a tour.
No. Sorry. As in, we were exhibiting at events, right? Yes. We dabbled in it. And last year was the one where we thought, how is this going to go? And then this year we just went, let's go for it. And we went to pretty much every major accounting event. We did so many podcast pit stops. We did all of that content. We did all the grid walks and all of that. And I think that's the bit that I'm most like the highlight, proud, best part of, is the fact we kept evolving that area of it, because that's something that could get stale quite quickly, right? Like at the end of the day, we're just two guys sat in front of a microphone having a chat. But the fact that we were able to involve our community, get people involved, get other opinions in, talk about bits and have that's the bit that I look fondly for 2024, because for us, that's where we went to the next level. And not only that, but you guys, Engager, also were there as well, right? And it kind of created that we always had two bases of operations in certain places. And I think that was really, really, like, when you look back on 2022 to 2023 to the evolution of what happened as the accountant, I think that's the bit that really does stand out to me, of like where we came from, where we got to. And yeah, we've got some big plans for 2025 as well. But I think, yeah, the idea that we were able to have, create these little activation zones that they're called in the industry and the biz and the thing, like we were able to create that, and the community was so excited to be involved in it. I think that's my highlight. What about yours, John?
I think I loved all of them. I loved all of our sessions and stuff we did. I mean, I have to pay tribute to the fact that that's another year of live shows we've done. It's 113 live episodes we've done now.
Yeah.
Weekly, give or take a few weeks. Like, incredible. But I think Accountex London just stands out for me. Like, for 2 mental days, podcasting there and recording all those podcast pit stops, doing the interviews, doing the grid walk. Like, we were broken by the end of it. And it was very emotional at points, from upset through to anger, through to frustration, through to happiness. Like, it was, wow. But it was incredible. And it really was a highlight of the year for me. Like, Caroline and her team at Accountex just got behind us. They did this huge stand for us with this great branding. They really got behind the messaging and stuff. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, it was incredible. It's been a fantastic year. But Accountex London definitely stands out as the real showcase, the highlight for me of an event, I think.
Well, you got to go on the main stage as well, right? Like,
yeah, got to go on the main stage, interview Lord Philip Hammond. Yeah, still loving that. But as great as that was, just being there, talking to our community and interviewing so many people over 2 days was just such great fun. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, really, really enjoyed that. But 2024 comes to a close. 2025, all the YouTubers out there, all of our colleagues are doing a what next video. So rather than mess about and create a whole nother video, what have we got next, Aaron? Tell the community what's coming up in 2025. What are our plans and what direction are we taking this in?
I think we need to double down on this community base. That's what we talked to each other about, wasn't it? Like the community and how that works. And I really do feel strongly the fact that Ask the Accountant has a network starting to brew in there. You look at all the brands we've already created. We've got Ask the Accountant main show that we have each and every week, 8:30 a.m. But we also have the podcast pit stops. We have the grid walk. We have we have the, what do you call it, don't we? We have cool friends. We have cool locations, and like there's so many different brands there. And we are definitely, watch the space, because there are definitely talks already happening about expanding that network, like bringing more content to it and bringing it from there. And I think what that's made us realize is what Ask the Accountant as a brand means to us in terms of what content we should be putting on there. And I think we definitely found 2024 as a year where we struggled in places to understand where some of our content belongs. Like, should it go on the QuickBooks Chat channel? Should it go on the Boffics channel? Should it go on Jan Goree's channel? Like, where does it go? Like, what's this content going to be? But the more that we kind of look at it and figure out, we've already got the perfect audience, and that is Ask the Accountant. When we want to talk about the industry and improving the industry and reviewing bits that could help the industry and everything that goes with it.
Technology, software, experiencing day in the life stuff,
Exactly.
followers behind the scenes type stuff. Yeah.
And that's our commitment for 2025, isn't it? Is to build that aspect of it as a network. You know, let's bring in more content to our Ask the Accountant channel that's going to relate to building, you know, different opinions and looking at elements. And I think, like you've already said, MTD is going to be such a big push for this year that there's got to be a place to have that support, right? And there's got to be a place to have that conversation. And we feel that Ask the Accountant is a perfect platform for it.
Definitely. Yeah. So basically, what we're going to be doing in going forward is where we stream this live show to will be refined. So it won't go to Bofix, it won't go to QuickBooks Chap, it won't go to Johann Gory YouTube channels. It will go to the Ask the Accountant channel. It will go to the Ask the Accountant LinkedIn channel, Instagram, whatever. But it'll also go to mine and Aaron's personal LinkedIn pages.
Yeah.
So we're cutting back some of the live streams to be more focused to where they belong, which means that the QuickBooks Chat channel can be utilized for QuickBooks content. It means that my channel can go back to being more accounting focused for my own clients, which is what we're looking at in my firm. But that doesn't mean we're going to be cutting out. So like my day in the life videos and my tech review videos that I do a couple of a year, they will still be done, but they're going to go and be posted on the Ask the Accountant channel. Aaron's day in the life and tech videos that aren't about QuickBooks. So when he's looking at card terminals and stuff like that, like lighting rigs, like and filming setups like you did the other day, those videos will now be on the Ask the Accountant channel going forwards, because that is directly associated to the accountants and bookkeepers that watch us. Like if you've not seen Aaron's setup video for his lighting, filming, microphone rig thing that he did the other day, go and see it. Fantastic in video there that really gives you an insight as to how much goes into filming a lot of this stuff. But yeah, so all of that will start going onto the Ask the Accountant channel as well going forwards. So yeah, so we're consolidating, we're centralizing all of this information that we've got all over the place at the moment into one place.
And I think it's important to emphasize it's a network, right? So yes, there'll be my content, there'll be your content, but going forward, hey, we want more people to be involved in Ask the Accountant. Like, you know, there are going to be other channels or other brands that are going to launch throughout the year with different people involved in them, and we want to encourage them as well to think about putting content there as well, because that's what we're building, isn't it? It's a community, it's a, you know, it's a network, it's all of those elements to it. And I think having it all emphasized in one central location, which is Ask the Accountant, I think that makes the most sense for us to have that content, because then people know where to find it, right? It's not just scattergun everywhere.
Let's go back to the BBC analogy, right? BBC One absolutely smashed it this Christmas with viewer numbers, but that's because everyone knew where everything was. Whether you were a Call of Midwives fan, Gavin and Stacey fan, it didn't matter what type of fan you were, you knew you went to BBC One to watch it. So Ask the Accountant will become BBC One of the accounting world, where you might go there for the day in the life video. You might go there for the news, which, you know, like we'll keep covering in their weekly sessions. You might go there for the gadget show of the accounting world. Like, it'll all be in there, and you just go to your favorite channel to watch all of those different types of content, rather than going to different channels for different specific niches of content.
Yeah. And it also makes it easier for us to create that content, because some of the problems we've had is we wanted to make content but didn't know where to put it or didn't know what it related to. And you know,
because we don't want to keep disrupting our audience, so like keep going from tech to day in the life to accounting insights and knowledge from my own audience on my own YouTube channel has been disruptive. And every time I change, going from one type of video to another, I see a drop in subscribers, and then I see a climb back up because I'm talking about national insurance or something stupid. And it just makes sense to put the content that is targeted to the accounting and bookkeeping world in one place.
Yeah. And it also means we can go back to some of the stuff that we really enjoyed doing. Like back in the day when we did that, wait a minute, they've just launched QuickBooks Advanced. Let's go talk about it, right?
Yeah.
We can't really do that at this point when we've got those other channels to try and figure out when's the right time to post to him. Yeah. Will that affect our algorithms? All that absolute BS, let's be honest. But the game we have to play, where now we know that, you know what, if we know we have an audience who will enjoy this content because they're already subscribed to the Ask the Accountant channel. So let's just post to there and let's go live or whatever we want to do. But we know then that content is purely for accountants and bookkeepers out there. And we know that that's going to be content that people are going to want to be involved in and, you know, and understand. So next time I do a review of Client Engager, for example, instead of worrying about where that should sit and where it should go and what date and time to put it to and all that sort of stuff, I know I can just post it to Ask the Accountant because, that's a place where people are going to be interested to understand of what that's going to be. And you know what, we can be impartial about it because it doesn't have to be Johann to post that content because that might be a little bit touching. But we'll have other faces that can work on that content and other faces that can be involved in it. And I think that's where we're going to have the opportunity, I think, to build that area. So we're really excited for it. And it means more focus for us on our other channels to do what they should be doing. And that return on investment can go right there.
By putting everything into the Ask the Accountant channel, it means that it's easier for where we're posting it across multiple channels at the moment, someone's commenting on one channel, someone's commenting on another channel, they're not seeing the community joined up. Whereas putting it all on the Ask the Accountant channel means that we are going to see the community joined up. And we've got some other plans. It's very early days as to what we're going to do and how we're doing it for next year. So, tune in next year to find out more, basically.
Yeah. And I think the key takeaway is make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because that's going to be very, very important. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast channel as well on whatever podcast solution you want to use in the world. Because, we're definitely going to be putting a lot more content into those going forward. And that's going to be the best place to get all of your Ask the Accountant goodness going forward.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, on that news and on that reflection,
bombshell,
we bring to the close Ask the Accountant 2024. What a year. As we've said many a times, thank you to everybody who tunes in and listens to us. Whether you tune in once a year, once a month, or every single week, we truly value your input. You keep us honest, you keep us true, you keep giving us new tips and things to look at, which we love. Your comments on the chats every week are phenomenal. So thank you very much. And from Aaron and myself, we wish, and Lizzie and Kate and everyone else involved in Ask the Accountant, we wish all of you a very, very happy new year and a very successful 2025.
Cheers, everyone. Have a good one.
Goodbye.
Bye.